Hey guys, it's Jason here to help you multiply enjoyment. Before we get started, if you like this stuff and you want to go deeper, just go to multiplyenjoyment.com. I was listening to an interview a couple days ago with Tim Ferriss and Neil Gaiman, nonfiction author who's just incredible. And Neil made a couple of comments about the shifting in his work as he's gotten older. He said as a kid or a young guy, he was a late night writer, and that was just, he burned the midnight oil. That's how he wrote, and he slept in late, and that was his pattern. And he could also juggle multiple projects at one time. It was easy for him. He said as he's gotten older, he's certainly gotten better in some areas, but he's noticed two shifts. Number one is he can't juggle the multiple projects at one time anymore. He prefers to stay focused on a single project. Number two is he is no longer a late night writer. He has shifted more toward a mid-afternoon writer as his prime hours. And the point he was making is if he had stuck to his bias or his conviction or the past evidence that he was a late night writer and could juggle multiple projects at once, and he wasn't paying attention to the shifts, then he would have missed out on a lot of really good work and productivity. So the important thing there is to know and to recognize when those shifts are happening. And that is very related to an idea that is fascinating to me, which is that it is surprisingly difficult to recognize what the things that uniquely work for me as an individual. If I have a cultural or some kind of historical bias against that idea. Like if I think that all people who get good work done get up early in the morning and do their work early in the morning, but I'm a night owl, I'm going to go through and miss the fact that it's not about what works for everybody, it's about what works for me. Here's a fun example, a kind of a silly example, is group workouts. I absolutely loathe group workouts. When I'm at the gym and I see or am around a group workout, I don't hate it, and I don't hate those people, but it's kind of close to that. It's just that when I think of myself being in that situation, I hate it, right? I couldn't think of any worse idea for me. And if I were convinced that the only way to develop good physical habits was to do group workouts because of social accountability, which is one of the fundamental reasons group workouts are taught as being a really great thing, then I would miss that part in me that works better alone in that particular situation. And the opposite is also true. If someone is kind of self-conscious or maybe doesn't want to do group workouts or thinks that they're too strong or tough to have to do that, and they don't need that kind of support, but in reality that's where they thrive, then they are also going to miss out on the advantage that is available to them by doing the group workouts. Examples like that abound everywhere. And the trick is, we talked the other day about learning from worry and how you start to train yourself to, instead of pushing through and ignoring those red flags that your brain tries to tell you, you start to recognize them. It's the same habit. It's the same pattern here. What I'm encouraging you to do is to start paying attention to those somewhat quiet whispers or senses or intuitions or just emotional reactions to certain things. If something feels like it really works for you, but your first reaction is to kind of reject it because because of what you've learned is that that thing doesn't work, or that thing it shouldn't work, or that thing is not okay to do, pause for a minute and think, is that really, is that something that really doesn't work, or should I be paying attention to it here? Is it something that maybe could work for me uniquely in a way that doesn't work for other people? And vice versa. If there's something that you think you're supposed to be doing, but it's just not clicking, pay attention to that as well. Start looking to see if maybe that works for 90% of the population, but it doesn't work for me. Now, I'm a big fan of using and utilizing principles that work for us all. I think we are more alike than we are different. However, when we get into the weeds, when we get into the day-to-day of life, there are certain processes, certain situations, certain relationships, certain activities that work well for one person and they don't work well for the other. The trick is in identifying the difference. And one of the kind of higher level amazing applications of this is what Dan Sullivan calls unique ability. This video is not about unique ability, but it's an example of this. Often the thing that you are best at in the world, the one thing that you would offer more value to the world around, the one activity that would bring the most value to the world, is something that is so easy and so natural to you that it feels like cheating. It feels like play. And in that area, if you don't recognize that, man, look at what you're missing out on. And that's a much bigger, more impactful example, but examples of this are everywhere in day-to-day life. So start thinking about, how can I pay attention to the little red flags or the little bright spots that are telling me that one thing might work for me when it doesn't work for another? What are the unique things that work for me that may not work for other people, and vice versa? I'd love to hear some of your ideas, some of what you've discovered in your life, and the things that are kind of idiosyncrasies for you that work really well for you that don't work for most people, and how you notice that and how you capitalized on that. Let me know down in the comments if you've come across that, or if you have any that are in your head right now that you're thinking about and going, oh yeah, you know what, I actually need to start paying attention to that. Let me know. I'd love to hear. And if you like this stuff and you want to go deeper, just go to multiplyenjoyment.com. There you'll be able to schedule a time to talk with me, and we'll put together a strategy of a few simple changes that'll disproportionately improve the quality of your experiences for the time and effort that you invest. Go to multiplyenjoyment.com. If you like that stuff and you want me to help you implement it, and I think I can help you, then you'll get the opportunity to invest in the upcoming deep dive class on how to multiply enjoyment. And I'll see you over there. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.